Ayanokoji is one of the best characters from the manga and the anime series Classroom of the Elite. He is a master at controlling events. He stays in the dark and uses everyone around him. To achieve this, he developed a skill called observation. Today, we are going to be discussing how you can incorporate this skill into your daily life. Before that, I do not want any evil intent to come from this, or any of my videos. Even though it's tempting to use these methods on others, I hope you guys only use these methods when absolutely necessary. With that said, let's dive into the video. 1. Study the social dynamics. You should develop the habit of actively observing people's interactions. Most people do not observe these social dynamics, so they miss out on valuable information. But Ayanokoji does not neglect this. He actually takes the time to observe these to understand everyone around him. This is one of the best skill that you can easily replicate. While observing, there are a lot of other things to look out for. It includes who is in a dominant position, what is causing the conflict, how each person feels about particular people, what are their motivations, and much more. Basically, by observing social situations, you can learn a lot about each person and their relationships with specific people, which will be helpful while manipulating them. 2. Look for behavioral patterns. Knowing when someone is acting differently than before is a crucial component of observation. If you pay attention to these shifts, you can learn more about their unique psychology. The best way to do this is by observing their typical behavior in a variety of situations. In the series, when Ayanokoji first met Horikita, he determines that her normal behavior is serious, cold, and distant. She seems to be quite composed. However, her behavior significantly changes when she is around her brother, particularly becoming more emotional and sensitive. Ayanokoji notices this deviation in her behavior. In this case, the reason for her different behavior is that she desperately wants and begs for her brother's approval. By knowing this, he can able to use her as a scapegoat for his master plans. Therefore, by making it a habit to notice behavioral changes of people around you, the chances of using them will increase drastically. 3. Observe their body language. Non-verbals play a crucial role in communication. According to a study, it leads 55% of our conversation. If you don't pay attention to a person's nonverbals, you may prone to miss out a ton of information. To avoid this, you should take the time to learn nonverbal communication. This includes gestures, body movement, facial expressions, posture, and eye contact. Keep in mind that humans are constantly transmitting information non-verbally. Most people just fail to notice it. Since body language is a broad subject, I suggest reading a book on it to learn more. In the series, when Sakura went to the camera shop, she felt so uncomfortable by the owner. She exhibits a freeze response. It is when a person moves very little and often indicates that they are feeling threatened and uneasy. In case of Sakura, she exhibits both stiff and jerky movement in addition to being frozen in place. Ayanokoji was able to grasp that this particular person is giving her a great deal of discomfort to Sakura. He then uses this chance to get closer to her. Therefore, if you put in the time and effort to learn all these nonverbal cues, you'll develop into a good observer like Ayanokoji kiyotaka. 4. Remove biases from your observation. Almost every single person have personal feelings, opinions, and beliefs. These will get in the way. For example, if you're observing someone you don't like, you'll be more inclined to notice only their flaws. If you want to make good observations, it's best to avoid these biases while you're observing. However, this is harder to develop than you might think. To achieve this, you have to be conscious of your own biases and recognize any preconceptions you may have. This will help you become more objective by preventing them from skewing your views. Along with that, you should refrain from being judgmental, because doing so is essentially projecting your own feelings and opinions onto whatever you're observing. Instead, take a look at broader picture with an open mind and see things for what they are. If you can do this, you will be able to observe everything clearly, just like Ayanokoji. Connect the dots. After you make several observations, start by linking them all together to form a larger picture. This is important in deduction, where you must draw a conclusion after observing a variety of different things. Essentially, you are thinking about one observation and determining whether it relates to a previous observation you made. For example, during the deserted island test, Ayanokoji notices people form Class C infiltrating other classes. After that, he connected all of his observations, which helps him in determining the truth. If you examine them carefully at once, you can see how those observations are related to one another. This is essentially how Ayanokoji links his observations to draw a conclusion, which enabling him to determine their master plan. By employing these strategies, I'm sure you can able to outsmart anyone around you.